Secrets of longevity. We have some very interesting things to share with you that I'll bet you never talk about it or think about it. Stick around the next episode of Senior Care Made Simple.
Welcome to Senior Care Made Simple, an elder care podcast, your guide to navigating home health care with confidence. Hosted by Andrea Albertini, founder and CEO of Horizon Care Services, an industry leader in private duty home care in South Florida. To learn more, visit horizoncareservices.com.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I am Andrea Albertini, the host of this awesome podcast, Senior Care Made Simple. And I am here this morning with my co-host, Doris Muscarella. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Doris.
Well, hello there. Very excited about our guest today.
Yes, we are. And we want to congratulate you for being a grandma.
Oh, thank you so much. But I'm a young grandmother, okay?
Yes, so am I. My grandson is going to be 5 months old. And he stopped by the other day and he is just so cute and fat and big cheeks. And we are so happy to be young, beautiful grandmothers.
That's right.
And today we have a wonderful, very special guest.
We have today Dr. Linda Edelstein. I met her and we could not stop talking about everything in the healthcare industry, country club, living, aging, and she will share her expertise today. Welcome, Dr. Edelstein. How are you today?
Oh, thank you for having me. Very excited to talk about longevity.
So can you give us a little bit background about yourself so the listeners can have an overview?
Absolutely. So I am licensed in New Jersey, licensed in Florida as a psychologist. I have been a solo practitioner for 35 years. In addition to my clinical work, I was president of the South Jersey Psychological Association. I was the ethics chair for the New Jersey Psychological Association. For 6 years, I was an adjunct professor at Rutgers University, which is the State College of New Jersey. And presently, I serve on the board of directors of the Ibis Country Club.
Busy lady, huh?
One of the things keeping busy, having a purpose, having a schedule is something that really contributes to longevity.
And by the way, Doris, I just saw her. And she looks beautiful, vivacious, and she looks like she only turned 51.
Were you wearing your glasses yesterday?
I had my bifocals on. And she was beautiful, gracious, wonderful. She was sitting with the Foundation for IBIS and being a big supporter that she is for her community. And I feel that it is so important that as we age, we get very active. Continue to be active.
So what's your secret?
Maybe it's a mystery to some people because they're not sure what they can do to improve their longevity. There's a lot of, I think, myths about longevity and health. Specifically, people have been talking more and more about the blue zone, which there are 9 cities in the world that say that they have been able to increase people's longevity. But the recent data suggests that that may not be true. So when a study did some research that 80% of the people in the world over 110 years old, what they found out is that very few of them had birth certificates. So you don't really know when they were born, so you can't track their ages accurately. And they also found, believe it or not, your listeners may be surprised to hear about this, when there was a study done by the Albert Einstein College of Medicine studying people over 100, is that half of them were overweight or obese. Half were smokers, many rarely exercised, and very few were especially careful about what they ate. So what does that tell us? it may tell us that there are factors other than health that contribute to longevity. What might those factors be? Well, one of them, and I am a believer in this, is what I'm calling emotional resilience, which is very, very important. And emotional resistance has to do with the power of stress toughening. So, through major life crises, if we're able to stretch our capabilities to deal with a major life crisis, we become more resilient. In much the same way, if you go to the gym and you ask me what I do, I'm at the gym 5 days a week. I walk 6 miles a day. I no longer use the heavy weights. I use light weights. In much the same way in the gym, if you're going to stretch your muscles to improve your overall body health, stressful situations or getting out of your comfort zone can build up emotional resilience, and that contributes overall to one's longevity, your ability and your willingness to get out of your comfort zone will build up some of that resilience.
It's interesting that you said that. So, I'm 61 years old, and I always I never really enjoy working out. It was never my thing. Would I like to take a walk with my earbuds, listen to music or a podcast? Yes. But workout, lifting weight, being in a gym, it was never my thing. And so I actually got out of my comfort zone, the way you just mentioned, and I have joined a dance studio. And I'm going to tell you, I never thought that I could do. I always wanted to do Argentinian tango. And I thought to myself, I'm never going to be able to do this. So I scheduled an appointment and I went. And I was literally fascinated because you're working out your whole entire body, right? And your mind, because you're listening to music and you're moving around and you're feeling beautiful and you're feeling young and you're feeling sexy. And you have no idea what that has done for me. And I was really surprised how it made me feel. And I wish I could have done that a long time ago. So I think that finding what makes you happy and again, get out of your comfort zone, it is very important for you to have a quality of life that we all deserve.
Well, so you managed to do two things at once, and that is work on some cardio activity, but you also stepped out of your emotional comfort zone, saying, let me try something different. And that's the, if you will, psychological resilience that I am talking about. And when children see their parents or even their grandparents do something outside of their comfort zone, like master a smartphone, or to hear stories of how they navigated their career or life setbacks, that shows children, I think, that we are capable of creating a legacy of adaptability and courage that enriches both ourselves and future generations. And that contributes to longevity. I think even more so than some of the physical activities, because we learn that some of these older people that are over 100, half of them didn't exercise. So how do we account for that? There's some other factors, and I think one of the factors is resilience. I think another factor is love. Because what we look at in terms of the research is that the single strongest predictor of healthy aging isn't wealth, social status, or even lifestyle. It's the quality of your relationships.
Wow, I never thought about that.
Did you know that marital satisfaction in particular seems to act like a longevity booster shot? Among people in their 80s, those in happy marriages reported that their moods stayed steady. Even on those days when they were in physical pain, the study also showed that people in warm, supportive relationships tended to live longer and happier lives than loners. In fact, loneliness as we age can be as damaging to health as smoking or alcoholism. And we've also found out there was a recent study in Harvard that says that people in their 80s, even if they argued daily, sort of picked it, sort of that quick banter that feels argumentative, as long as they felt that they could rely on each other when it truly mattered, the everyday spats didn't seem to harm their mental health or memory. So far, we have two factors. We have emotional, psychological resilience, and the second is love. You have any guesses as to what the third factor may be?
Not a clue.
Not a clue. So I'm going to tell you because it's not a secret. It's faith. And I don't necessarily mean religion. So there is a rabbi that wrote a book. It's called the Oxford Book of Aging. And what he found is that beyond genetics, beyond lifestyle, there's something more fundamental that contributes to longevity. And that is the power of belief. It's having a belief system.
I believe that.
It could be religion, but it creates a sort of spiritual resilience. You know, earlier, a few moments ago, we talked about resilience in terms of stepping out of your comfort zone and feeling successful. Well, this is a spiritual resilience. So there was a recent study from Ohio State University that found that religious affiliation alone can add as much as 9 years to a person's life. There was a separate study involving women who regularly attended religious services. They had a 33% lower mortality rate. But the power of belief extends beyond religion. What matters is having something meaningful to believe in, whether it's family, whether it's community, or a personal mission. And I think that's absolutely fascinating, how you can use a belief, spiritual, religious, belief in a personal relationship or community, how that can contribute to one's longevity.
So let me ask you something. I read somewhere that elderly people need purpose. So as part of these factors, I think, in my opinion, purpose is really important. It's like you said when we started the podcast, it keeps me busy, all the things that I'm doing. So you have a purpose. What about people that do not have a purpose?
Well, let me just speak to the positive and then I'll answer the less positive. There was a recent study at Stanford on longevity. And what the researcher found out is that when people have something to look forward to, that it keeps them going, whether it's a child visit, a grandchild, or a lunch with friends, or a mahjong, or going to a movie, or going to a theater. That purpose, that sense of the future contributes to longevity. Without that, having a purpose, I think people that don't are probably less likely to be involved in relationships, as we said a moment ago, where there's camaraderie and love. And we know that people that are lonely that's damaging to their health. Because when you have a purpose, though it may be something that is individual, it's usually within a relationship. As I said, a grandchild's visit, a grandchild's graduation, or an adult child buying a new house and they want your opinion on decorating. That purpose is within the context of relationships. So that combination of something to look forward to within the context of relationship that may even put you out of your comfort zone. Gee, my grandchild's graduating and it's out of state and I have to get on a plane and I haven't done that in a year. I mean, that's the trifecta, right? You're out of your comfort zone, you're in a good relationship, and you have a goal, a purpose to look forward to. And isn't that wonderful? The trifecta
Absolutely.
really contribute to longevity.
That's amazing.
Sometimes I think as we get older, we get into like, well, I'm older now. I already live everything I needed to live. I don't think I feel like, I should do anything to change. And I'm just here going by or whatever the case may be. And I think that, we are in 2026 now, everyone. And I think that more than ever, we should be able to use those resources and the knowledges that we have to be able to provide and care and share this information so we can have a great quality of life.
I absolutely agree. And I'll give you one more example of resilience for people that, let's say, are in their 50s or 60s and have parents that are elderly. Sometimes there's the feeling that we must take care of our elderly parent, which puts a lot of stress on us. And it's outside of our comfort zone to say, gee, we really need help from an agency like Horizon Care Services. But you know what? Getting out of your comfort zone and allowing a service like you to come in and help us take care of our aging parent. It gives the child, again, not so much of a child in their 50 and 60, the comfort to know that we have turned our aging parent over to someone like Horizon Care Services has tremendous value. Because again, we're creating a relationship for our aging parent, whether it's a caregiver that you provide or whether it's in home or whatever the frequency may be, I think is very helpful. It extends the life of the aging parent and it helps the adult child as well. And it's a wonderful service that you provide for both the adult child and the aging parent.
Absolutely. And actually, we have, as you have already, we are a full service, senior services. And you're right. It's being able to educate the adult children that there is help at home, to provide for their loved ones, so they don't have to feel, oh my God, I live in New York and my mom and dad in Florida, they're aging. I can't get there. I have my own life. I have my own career. And there is quality of life everywhere you turn around. You just need to be able to, again, Doc, like you said, get out of your comfort zone.
Right. And you provide a relationship for the aging parent, especially if you are providing help within their home and it's something to look forward to, right? They can put on the calendar, Horizon is coming this day to take care of me or provide this service. So I think it's an actual win-win for the aging parent as well as the adult child.
The most important to me, out of all the key takeaways, emotional resilience, psychological resilience. The mind is so powerful, and how stress toughness is so important. And I don't know if you watched the Will Smith Pole to Pole. which is, to me, it's a PR stunt, but in any event, just my opinion. He goes to a monk up in the Himalayas, and something stuck in my mind because he's all worried about life and the stress and everything. And the monk says, "Do you think about your death?" And he's like, "No, nobody thinks about their death." He said, "Think about your death. You will die." And he said, just think about yourself in a deathbed, and you're lying in your deathbed, and you have moments left. Is this going to matter? What you're stressing right now going to matter in your deathbed? And I thought about that, and I'm like, most of the stuff we worry about is not important.
Yeah.
All these deadlines and all this stuff is not important. So emotional resilience just came into mind when you said that. And this morning when I woke up and saw all the emails and all the work, I said, is this going to matter in my deathbed? No. Goodbye. Delete.
You're right. There's a book by Roger Rosenblatt that talks about aging. And one of the chapters is entitled something like, whatever you think matters doesn't.
Doesn't like it.
Doesn't. But, I've had over the years a lot of patients when they worry about their death and dying. It's inevitable. But what I ask them to visit is, which I think is key, are you living your life well?
Yes.
Live your life well, then the death part is not so frightening or intimidating. It is inevitable, but focus on living your life well, not death. And that paradigm shift, I think, is really very helpful.
I like also the quality of relationships, We don't think about that, but the quality of relationships. We need people. We need a community. We need a tribe. And most of, when we're getting older, is most of our friends. If you live in a country club, you have the country club environment, which is, to me, very helpful. But if you don't, your relationships are your family, your friends.
Yeah, and then talking about that, Doctor, I wanted to share this with you. My husband had passed away, and almost 2 years now in April. And, so what did I do? I associate myself with a lot of wonderful girlfriends.
There you go.
We travel together, we hang out at the pool, we'll drink mimosas.
There is a very famous saying, people quote Sigmund Freud. He didn't actually say this, that a cigar is just a cigar. But he didn't really say it. But what other psychologists have changed to is not so much the cigar is just a cigar, but the quality of the cigar depends on whom you smoke it with. Again, relationships. No matter how good of a cigar you have, and I'm not advocating smoking, my point being is that when you smoke it with friends, people that you care about and they care about you, it sweetens the experience.
Absolutely. Do you have a book?
I don't. I've written articles, but not on longevity. So no, I do not have a book.
Well, I think you need to write a book.
In my spare time.
Yes. This is a wealth of information that is so useful.
It's absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us and your expertise. We're very grateful that you came in the show. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful...
Thank you for having me. I always enjoy talking with the two of you.
Thank you so much, Doc. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Senior Care Made Simple, an elder care podcast, has been brought to you by Horizon Care Services, your private duty choice in home care in South Florida. For more information on acquiring home care assistance, visit horizoncareservices.com.